Alright, we're back. Let's play some more Legacy on the channel. Today I'm going to be playing my tweaked version of Up the Beanstalk. I like the 4 colors. I like the Bowmasters because Bowmasters is all over the shop right now as the enemy. Mana base is a little all over the place. I have bolstered it with a single copy of Lorien Revealed. Let's see how that works out for me. We have all the cheap removal spells. We have our forces. We have our Tamios. Of course, the best card in the deck, Up the Beanstalk. With that card in play, everything's going to be fine. So basically, you should focus on winning the games where you don't have it in play. Quantum Riddler, combos with Beanstalk, is just a solid card. Bolsters my blue count as well. Murktide for finishing power. I do like that quite a bit. Sideboard-wise, I love a couple of Sweet Bursts. I need a lot of negations to, guard against combo decks. Eldrazi's a nasty matchup, so I need a bunch of consigns. Barrowglyphs can help from everything to tempo to stompy strategies. A couple of surgicals for pesky oops and reanimator decks, and then Carpet of Flowers as my kind of cheat code against tempo decks. So yeah, let's see if we can control some games. All right, let's play some Magic here. I'm on the play with my Beanstalk deck. The first blue card is decent here. I can guard my mana base with a fetch land, then go for Surveil end of turn. I think Surveil is what I want to do. I really want to get my hands on some more spells. Also during the deck tech, I could have talked about some weaknesses of the deck. So I guess getting Lone Wastelanded and getting Blood Mooned are among the weaknesses. The deck is currently down to 0 Hydroblast, with mono red being such a low percentage of the field. And, when you play control, it's always going to be challenging to find the right 75. Okay, so speaking about show and tell, I think we're up against exactly that. So I'm going to slam Bowmasters on my own turn here, unless I draw up the Beanstalk, I guess. Get rid of a land here. That's totally fine. So I think I should just go Scrubland, Conceal the Fetches, Slam Bowmaster now. Hopefully this card is annoying for the opponent. I get a clock going. I'm hopefully disrupting some Ponders and Brainstorms. There's also the, they just might be a Beanstalk deck. Who knows? If the opponent forces here, I think I'm also supposed to force Pitch Cunning Wish, so we confirm that we're up against a show and tell strategy. Let me force a force here. Yeah, I'm unsure about how this plays out. Because in theory, that force could have been used for a show and tell later, so I'm basically just going to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt here that Bowmasters is indeed a good play against them. So now it's my job to find the next force before I'm dead. And then I'm going to use the logic of, if my opponent already had show and tell, payoff, they would, not have cared about the Bowmaster. Because they would rather have the force for, fighting over what this game is actually about. But who knows? Maybe they made a genius move and knew I would fall for it. Flipping Tameo here. I'm going to have no force for this turn. So let's see, what do I do? I think I put back a land. And let's see. The Beanstalk. I think that's optimal. Now, I give myself the chance if I get randomly Thought Seized here. Okay, so it looks like the opponent thinks now is the time to pounce, and I couldn't agree with them more. I'm losing if they succeed. My point is here, if they randomly play Thought Seize, I end up getting Thought Seized, then I can at least draw the beans, fetch away to clear the top, slam the beans. If I draw a blue card, I can then -3 Tameo to get back Force of Will. So, hedging against a non-zero here, essentially. But very close to it. Orcish Bowmaster triggering on the opponent. And now it's go time for the opponent. So here's a Veil of Summer. So that counters those three. Okay, well played. Pedal is alrighty. Show and Tell is not beatable. So, funnily enough, if I find Lane Line Binding against this deck, I'm also beating Show and Tell a lot of the time. But not this time. Because imagine I have a Ley Line Binding here, the game is over. Because then the Omniscience is gone and I complete the Force. Alright. Negations are for sure. And plows are terrible. So, I mean, this is easy. Now the question is if I do anything else. Do I think Consigned to Memory is a card? That deck might be a One Ring deck. I should probably assume that those are cards. So let's see. I can get rid of basic planes pretty easily. I wouldn't mind getting rid of basic island as well. If I'm adding carpet, I think it's totally fine to cut a couple of lands. Something like... The thing is, carpet forces me to use a mana on my turn, which is not... which is not the best, so maybe I was too fast with those. So if I keep the island and I add 2 consigns, I think that's okay. All right. Let's try this out. Playing against Show and Tell and getting utterly crushed by a sweet draw. I think it's very nice to know that the opponent is just willing to lose to Leyline Binding, because in that game, they could have just put Atraxa into play. But they chose to put Omniscience into play. This hand is great, by the way. Turn 2 Beanstalk with Force of Will. So let me play Misty Rainforest with the intentions of getting Meticulous Archive. That is a good land alongside the Bayou. Archive. Do I want that card? If my opponent forces my beans, I'm going to force back pitching what? Pitching Murktide? Yeah, I'll probably go for a random card over a Quantum Riddler here. Unclear if that's smart. Here's up the Beanstalk. Now I think I'm pitching Lorien Revealed. Because I'm getting pretty close to Murktide. Let's see. Pitching Lorien Revealed. Drawing 2 with the Riddler. Yeah, this should be fine. Bowmaster's a good draw. I might go for that instead. Always a little bit rough, because Bowmaster actually does something for the clock, while Riddler is just cards. So trying to prioritize when I need pressure and when I need cards. It's not that easy. Let's do this. Draw a couple of cards. No land. No land. Yeah, this is unfortunate. No land, no force. Just a bunch of stuff that I can't really unload. So my best bet here is to use Leyline Binding as the blowout that my opponent didn't consider last game, or seemingly. I mean, I guess they could have had a Cunning Wish or something. Oh yeah, wow, this is truly abysmal. Let's try and cast a Brainstorm. So if I'm forced to Force of Will this turn, what do I pitch? Probably just a Tameo. All right, your turn, opponent. I wonder if this Force of Will is enough, because the opponent gets so much time here between, yeah, finding Show and Tell. Also, the opponent a Veil deck. They have their own forces. This is very likely just too much time to give a Show and Tell deck. You have to hit your land drops. Otherwise, having a ton of cards doesn't do anything. The opponent's playing around Bowmasters here. That makes a lot of sense, because that is going to be my plan in this spot. It's a little bit of a problem. The opponent can sculpt here. 4 cards. Yep. Big problem. I'm going to draw a brick here. Then I'm going to, I guess, just slam Bowmasters now. There's no reason to go to cleanup. I'm not going to fight over this Bowmaster. All right. You're up, opponent. Unfortunately, it's very likely that my opponent just takes the turret and casts Show and Tell with Veil here. Okay, so I guess the fetch is in. I will force pitch Tamiyo if a Show and Tell is cast here. The opponent can respond to the Beanstalk trigger to win the counter war. And then my only hope is that my opponent either has no other option or is sleeping at the wheel. Let's see. Looks like we got lucky here. Murktide Regent is probably the play here. Let's fetch. I already have all of my colors, so which one do I want extra of? I guess blue-white is fine. So let me go Murktide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wonder what I can use this mana for. Probably nothing, so I should do 1, 2, 3, 4, and leave some cards in the graveyard. Minor stuff, I guess. Another Beanstalk. Back for 2. So my opponent's last card is Emrakul or Atraxa. Here's Stock Up. Stock Up is a card I can live with. Show and Tell would have been maybe disastrous. So basically, the goal for me next turn is to find a Force or a new Binding. I think if I do, I'm in great shape. I can deal 10 damage if I want to with my Bowmaster. That's not really going to change anything. I wonder if I have the perfect Brainstorm, if I can get to grow my Murktide enough. I don't think so. Because I'd only have 2 blue, so 3 blue with a land drop. The Bayou is disrupting that, I think. Stock Up resolves. Here's Carpet. Wow. So now the opponent has 2 mana. Hopefully they can't use that 2 mana for anything. Okay. I draw land, which is not bad. So I could up the Beanstalk first and then Brainstorm. And since that sees 1 more card, I think that should be my play. Binding or Force? Binding or Force? There's Binding. So if I put back land and I guess Tamiyo. So now I can play a land without giving them a free island to work with. Here comes 6 damage, and now the opponent has to beat the Leyline Binding. Which, you know, they very well may be able to, but at least I'm asking the toughest question I can come up with. That's frequently what you have to do in Magic, right? Another Stock Up. So that card is dangerous because now the opponent can actually find something like Cunning Wish or what have you on top of Show and Tell into your fatty. But I guess they would need Omniscience for Cunning Wish to matter. It's probably pretty hard for the opponent to get there because they need Show and Tell, Omniscience, Cunning Wish for something that, you know, gets rid of the binding and then pay off. So they need the perfect 4 here. And the opponent find the perfect 4. They also don't know I have the binding, so they might just be happy enough giving it a go. Opponents thinking long and hard about the stock up. That is totally allowed. Okay, okay. Leyline Binding showing its worth against Show and Tell Omniscience. It's basically because the Omniscience payoff is usually sorcery speed, but the opponent did show Cunning Wish in the other game, so I know they have that card. Against a lot of versions, it's just gonna they're just gonna get crushed. Let's see what this is. This is Show and Tell. Show and Tell resolves, and I'm putting into play Leyline Binding. So now, let's see. The opponent now has to beat me with the top cards here. And they cannot. Okay, so we get a game 3 here. That's cool. Everybody wants a game 3. A little bit of small ball. A little bit of online Beanstalk. And yeah, now the opponent basically has found out that they will need Cunning Wish or Consigned Memory in order to beat that card. So it is pretty powerful that I have a card that, if I have the card in hand, the opponent can't do much about it. Like, they need some very specific cards to actually deal with the binding. So that's pretty good for business. 7 forces is not a lot. Like, this deck does not have a good combo matchup. Let's say that deck was Sneak and Show. I would be in trouble because Leyline Binding doesn't do anything. Yeah, I mean, no other cards make sense. We should just resubmit here and see if we can get lucky. 6 lands and a Riddler. Not gonna do it. And any hand with a Forceful Blue card, that is gonna do it. So I think this Triome is just a bad card, because I'm not really looking to hardcast bindings all that often. I'm sure it can come up, but that's not really what I'm looking to do. I will look to keep the island count relatively low this game. Bad draw. I'm going to play Tamiyo here and not fight over the Tamiyo and not fight over, you know, potential Carpet of Flowers coming. I'm going to try and chill here. As long as I can chill behind fetches, that's also cool. Of course, we don't want to draw a million lands, so. All right. Tamiyo is in play. Here's Ponder. The opponent has a bad card on top, probably looking to shuffle unless they find the goods. Any fetch land will make it so that they can just keep the best one of the 2 cards underneath there. Okay, so actually keep everything. Yeah, that's scary. The most likely thing is they're going to be playing Show and Tell with Force of Will backup next turn, and I'm losing to that, so. What's my best draw? So funnily enough, it's probably something like getting Leyline Binding in rotation, which is funny. Blue card is not bad here because I intend on casting Brainstorm this turn. I should consider the Daze as a magic card and play Flooded Strand before brainstorming. These are great. I like these cards a lot. So maybe get rid of... interesting. So now I have double force and a Bowmaster with a Tamiyo. Am I still trying to minimize the amount of islands I have in play? That's the question on everybody's lips. I should probably keep that flexible at the very least. So what I have to do now is put back land and land. Land and land. I don't have to fetch. Land and land. Okay. So I'm drawing Misty Rainforest if I want to. Passing the turn. I have a Tamiyo, which is pretty good for business here. It kind of forces the opponent to go for it. Here's Stock Up. I'm not going to allow that card. I'm actually going to Force a Will here and not Force a Negate. Let's see. Force a Will, pitch Riddler. That worked. Okay, that's very good for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the land. So I have Hardcast Negation. I'm going to bring back the Force of Will, to which I can pitch Murktide Regent. And then if nothing happens, I'll end step the Bowmasters off of something that does not help Carpet of Flowers down the road. So that would be Scrubland probably, since it goes well with my Trop. All right, here's another action card. So what I could do here is Force a Will, pitch Murktide. So I get to deploy a clock. I think that's how I need to play. Force a Will, pitch Murktide. That works. My opponent is currently trying to run me dry here. Scrubland, Bowmasters. Also, that Ancient Tomb is helping me a little bit here. Now, should I fetch here? I think I should. I want to go for a blue-white land here. Looking for Binding. Is Riddler a good card? Riddler is a draw 2 right now. But the thing is... Is Riddler a good card? Riddler lets me do what exactly? I can pitch it to a negation, but I'm not sure that's valuable. If I draw 2 cards off of it and I miss on blue card, that's probably atrocious, but I have draw 2 cards off Riddler. If there's a blue card, I'm golden. If there's no blue card, I can still crack a clue, so that would be looking at top 3. Let me go and check my list here. So I've added 5 blue cards to the deck, so I think I'm up to 29. And I'm drawing 3 off Riddler. Yeah, very, very tough. What if I graveyard the card? Which card can I draw that's going to be, help me? I'm holding up Hardcast Negation. I think the way this Riddler can help me is if I get to the next turn and I bring back Force, then it could be my pitch card. Yeah. So now I don't crack Clue, I just draw, take the card. I also need to plus the Tamiyo. So if this game goes on for a little bit longer, that could be my blue card to Force a Will in the following turn. So pass, hold up Hardcast Negation. Next turn, I still have up Hardcast Negation, but I can cash in the Tamiyo for a Force, basically making my opponent go for it now. And they don't. Okay, perfect. So the Riddler has a purpose. Let's crack a Clue token end of turn, just to get a little bit more to work with. Savannah is probably not a good draw. Neither is Windswept Heath. Okay. Let's attack here. And then I'm going to bring back Force of Will. And I'm basically saying, you need to beat double Force this game. The way I've been playing, I will say, looks like the opponent only has to beat 1 Force. Let's see what this is. If the opponent's casting Cunning Wish here... the thing is, Cunning Wish could be anything. What can they get with Cunning Wish here that they don't want me to force? What if it's something like a Flusterstorm? You know what? I'm going to let my opponent do this. So this could be a surgical, which is cool. So if they get surgical here, it's a pretty cool... I mean, it helps me a little bit, right? Yeah, they get surgical. That's awesome. So they get surgical, and they lose a bit more life. I can use that. So now they're going to surgical my force. Well, the thing is they're going to see my negation in hand. They're going to see my negation. What can they do with that info? And more importantly, they're going to drain my deck of all the forces. That means I cannot draw a force on my next draw step, and I might need that. So I'm actually going to hardcast negation on this one. Get back the force. It's not really impressive. I think it's just slightly better than letting this happen. All right, let's see. That card might have been my death sentence, the green mana. Okay, it's not. That's good for me. Let's see. Up the Beanstalk. That is a good one. I think I should do that first. In theory, I could draw into like a new Bowmaster. Should I play this land out? I could do that. So I go like... Or will I need this land later? I think it's fine to play out the land. Let's see. Tap green, tap white. Maybe it's just this one. What if I draw into some ponder stuff? Okay. I'll try and tap like this. Cast Beanstalk before combat. I draw Tameo, so now I can turn my Riddler into a draw 2. I already played my land, so I might as well attack. Do I think it's better to draw 2 cards now than to deploy Tameo? Yes. Leyline Binding is a great draw. Force blue card is, you know, Magical Christmas land draw. And that card is a blank. So I don't get there on the double force. So if the opponent can beat me with 1 backup, I'm in trouble. Here comes the Surveil. It's getting to crunch time for the opponent. It seems like they've been missing one piece. Whether that piece is payoff, it's not. That could just be the card show and tell in general. Also, the fact that I countered the surgical and now I have double force in hand. I'm going to like that decision quite a bit. Let's attack here. And I'm going to play my 6th untapped land here because of daze. I really don't want to get dazed in crunch time here. So let's pass. I have double force. 3 life is not 2 life, though. So let's see what the opponent can do. 7 mana to work with. They tap out, or if they use the tomb, there's no force of will. Pretty exciting game. I think this matchup is quite tough. Ooh, the opponent's willing to go to 1 here. Does there exist any world where I'm going to take an Emrakul swing this game? And I need to stay at 16? I don't think so. So let's fetch a Bayou out of my deck. It's funny, I'm still playing around Veil of Summer to a small amount. So now, what happens if I slam Riddler? Does that do anything for me? Or is it going to be enough to have double backup here? If I slam Riddler, I draw 2 magic cards. Those magic cards could be a random blue card, so Consign is also live. Let's see. Right now I have Hardcast Force, Pitch Force, and Consign. I think I have more to lose, funnily enough. Oh, did I miss the cycle last turn? I think I missed the cycle. Yeah. Yeah, that was very bad. Hmm. I'm gonna pass here. Make it up to the opponent to beat what I already have here. Ancient Tomb's out of the picture. Can't draw cards. Well, if you start your turn with Veil, you can. Here comes the show and tell. Am I just gonna double pitch force here? I'm not sure. Here's show and tell. So my opponent if they have double Veil, I'm beat. I think that's okay. We can live with losing to double Veil. All right, it's down to this. Forgot about drawing a card here even. Let me quickly make sure I have an untapped blue source to find here. Underground Sea and Trop. Okay, I have plenty. Let's force a will the Veil. Pitching Tameo, trying to draw another card. So if they have a second Veil here, I will have to cantrip into Leyline Binding to win this game. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Is this some kind of fluster that I get punished for? Consign to memory. Target the fact that I draw a card and the game's over. All right, so Bowmasters, Ancient Tomb, a duo here. Yeah, pretty cool situation where the opponent actually had good answers in hand. They board in Consign when they learned about Leyline Binding and then trying to find the perfect spot. But yeah, I had a little bit too much time to set up this time around. All right, let's play some more. Guys, the first Eco Championship qualifier is here. February 7th is where it's going to go down. It's going to be 7 a.m. Pacific. It's going to be 1600 hours CET, depending on where you are in the world, of course. And we're going to be playing Legacy for a bunch of treasure chests, but also we're going to be playing for a slot in the yearly finals at the end of the year, as you can see on this graphic. So become a member over on Metafy or send me a message and go grab your guest ticket. I can't wait to see you there. All right. More Beanstalk action coming your way here. This hand looks to be fine. We're hoping to play against a fair deck of sorts. Our mana base is not ideal. If we could waste it on the white, we could be stranded with some uncastables in hand. In general, that's, you know, always going to be the price when you're trying to play a million colors. Ooh, let's see if we can kill a noble here on turn 1. Allosaurus Shepherd. Let's see it, buddy. Zenith for Uno. Okay, so that card I'm going to kill with Orcish Bowmasters. Shepherd is scary for later. Meticulous Archive. Let's see what we can find. Another Bowmaster. I think that card looks to be okay against my opponent, especially with a known Shepherd in hand. Let's see. Play C. Bowmaster the Dryad Arbor. One of the best starts you can have here against a mana dork deck, to be on the play and kill their dork with Bowmasters. So now they basically know a Beanstalk deck between Misty Rainforest and, you know, all of these colors. So let's see what this is. When it dies or is exiled. So I basically now have to kill that card twice, which is annoying. I have to kill the Wasteland twice. How does that work? So if I, wait a minute. If I Bowmaster the Wasteland, I guess I just plow. Maybe the Badger Mole Cub doesn't do much then. Is that how it works? Then I obviously can't attack. Okay, let's think. So getting Wastelanded twice is horrendous. I cannot let that happen, so I need to kill the Wasteland here. I also have a Binding, but that's very expensive. So what happens if I play land and I attack here? The opponent blocks. I think I'm fine. All right, so with 4 damage, I will Bowmaster this for 1, get in for 2, get that off the board, and then I think I'm supposed to plow this Wasteland. I don't love it, but let's do it. Plow the Wasteland. Wasteland comes back, and then hopefully my opponent is not in a position to fire that off. This is a little bit of a weird situation. Maybe my attack here was bad. Cradle. Another cub. So now turn the cradle into... Yeah, this is not bad, opponent. Not bad. Maybe I messed this up. Unclear. Allosaur Shepherd. Elvish Mystic. Up the Beanstalk. Not bad. So right now, I feel like I need to get rid of some of my opponent's creatures. What happens if I attack here? The opponent will block the Bowmaster again. I don't want that. What happens if I go Tamiyo Brainstorm, find a land, finding the cub, attack, or guard Tamiyo, I guess. The opponent has how much mana next turn? Infinite mana, essentially. Okay, let's try this move. It's a little bit... I feel like I played poorly this game, but I can't really point a finger at it. It's just I had a lot of tools here and, you know, didn't do anything, so something must have been bad. Let's put back, because I do need to fetch here. Which card do I want to get left over with? Beanstalk or another Binding? Let me try this. The opponent still has Wasteland and they're up on mana. I think I need to get Savannah here. Get Savannah. Play this card. Get rid of a mole. And pass the turn to try and protect the queen here. So what was my alternative here? Let my opponent have infinite mana, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. Classic Elves. That should be a very doable matchup. I need to play better. So I wonder if I leave the first cup in there. Yeah, then I get into a spot where I accept my opponent has infinite mana. And maybe that was the way to go. And then just use removal spells on key creatures. Key creatures being this one that can pump the squad. Key creatures being, I don't know, whatever White at the Reliquary, Fiend Artisan they're running. Yeah. I may have messed up here. So this adds 3, 4, 5. They have 6 mana. But if they want to, they can force chump blocks out of me onto the Tamiyo. The opponent knows the coast is clear because of Shepherd. Yeah, tough game. But yeah, I'm sure there's something it just feels like I didn't play my double Bowmaster against a 1/1 deck with Plow and Binding. and the ability to flip Tameo. I just feel like I didn't play that well enough. So right now, basically, my plays here have been to prevent big Zeniths and the opponent having, you know, hardcast Craterhoof and what have you, because then the game just ends, right? But I'm not sure if I'm just prolonging the game for the sake of it here, and I'm just going to be losing anyway. Let's see how it plays out. Sometimes, yeah, it's been a while since I've had the feeling that I didn't play well, but I couldn't, you know, I couldn't exactly point out where. This is a pretty cool one. All right, opponent. Let's see. Green Sun's for 1. Maybe that's not the one I wanted to suggest. Untap the Cradle. All right, let's see what the finishing blow looks like here. I think you got this, opponent. Collect a Roof. Turn those into 5/5s and double attack the Tameo. I see. No, single attack the Tameo. Okay, so the opponent didn't have the big flashy payoff, but, you know, they're still doing pretty well for themselves here, unfortunately. I draw Plow. I think that is huge. Wow. Draw Plow like an absolute boss. Let me cast Beanstalk. Beanstalk into a Ponder. So let's kill that, because that's the one that's making my opponent attack for a bunch. Let's plus over here. Okay. Crazy draw. Because otherwise I would have to play defensively with minus on Tameo. Let's see how this plays out. Any big spell, I'm dead. Attacking Tameo for 1, that's something I can live with. Wasteland. That's, I mean, that's fine. Let's cast Ponder, see what's up. Another Plow. Yeah, I'm the champ. That is a crazy good draw. Now, if something bad happens, I would rather draw Murktide than a random card. So let's do it like this. Play land plus. So now, I think the way to play here is to chum block the oof and hang on to the Plow. Let's see. Shepherd. So now I'll have to Plow the Shepherd in response to this untap. Oh, they're not going to let me. Okay, they are. Wait a minute. Untap target creature. Yeah. So what did I need to do here? I need to Plow the Mystic, I think. Yes. Resolves. And now I need to Plow something. So I think the Ranger is slightly better. Does that work? I think it does. Let's see. Plow the Ranger. Chum block. Tameo goes to 6, which is annoying. Could also let it happen, but I think it's better to chum block. So now the opponent plays land. what happens if I go... So I have Murktide Regent here, and I have a plow. What happens if I plow the Shepherd and I play the Murktide? I think that's the move. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play Murktide Regent, exile 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a card. I even forgot about that one. The land is not bad. To play land, get back a plow, grow the Murktide for good measure here. And now let's kill the Shepherd. That's the turn. If my opponent wants to attack Tamio down to 1, I start eating creatures. Yeah, I mean, I'm working on my opponent here. I can lose to a lot of draws. Land is not dangerous though. The opponent with the no attack. I have an unknown card on top. Let's see. Bad draw. And I think I'm back to this. Should I hold a land? I think I play out the land because if I draw Riddler, I wanted, you know, have the possibility to draw into stuff and play my land. I'm not sure you would play a Surveil land in an Elf deck. Yeah, so no Surveil. I'm losing to a bunch of stuff. This is also why it's critical with the Tamio. Don't really want to fetch. Let's just see what the top of my deck yields me. Another land, that sucks. Let's play out the lands. Pass the turn. And then I need to get past this turn to fire off the Tamio, draw almost 20 cards. Crazy game. They find the order, I'm dead. They find a bunch of stuff, I'm dead. I don't think this deck is an Orcish Bowmaster's deck, but, you know, I guess let's find out. Let's go for the Bayou. Let's go for the sea. No, actually, yeah, I need white mana here. I need some white mana to work with. And I need 1 mana bindings. So let's see if you are playing Orcish Bowmaster, sir. Nice draw. It is actually a Bowmaster deck. That is really, really cool. Well, here's Leyline Binding. Draw a card. The opponent can punish me for that ping. Here's Leyline Binding entering. Getting rid of that card. Trying to draw 17. Let's see here. I did not find the next Murktide Regent. So what's the most efficient way to finish this? I mean, if I kill my opponent's creatures, that's probably not bad. So I have Bowmasters for a couple of them. Let's see, how many did I draw? I did draw double Bowmaster. So I guess kill the Mystic. Okay, so it's an Elves deck with Orcish Bowmasters. I mean, I didn't expect that. Killing the Cradle, you know, they get it back and all, but I still think it's a fine play. So now, what else? I could plow stuff. Okay, here's Endurance. Endurance was their last card. I think that card does nothing. Endurance is fine. Shuffle, targeting themselves. Let's see. I don't have the next Murktide, so I have to just attack for 8, I guess. So I can do bat tapping. Do this. Do this. Attack for 8. And I think between these forces, I don't think there's anything the opponent can do here. But I guess some Shepherd stuff is possible, so I need to find a removal spell and hold that up at some point. Okay. Yeah, that was a crazy game. Elves. Yeah, the thing is, Elves can go big. So I have Wrath of the Skies that are great, and then I have the Baraglyphs that are maybe. Do I have some bad cards here? I think after learning my opponent is a beat Bowmaster deck, I don't really think I have some bad cards, which is a little bit funny. But I am going to bring in the Wrath of the Skies regardless, so... Maybe I can... No, they're still a Wasteland deck. Okay. Maybe 1 Bowmaster, 1 Riddler sounds reasonable to cut. For 2 Wraths. There's also just a copy of Ponder. But I think the thing, when I bring in such an impactful card like Wrath of the Skies, I actually do like having just Ponder be an avenue to that card. All right, this hand looks fine without being crazy. Turn one Findhorn. Land looks like a fine draw here. I wonder which land I should get. I could just get Tropical Tamiyo. So now hopefully my opponent has to worry about the Tamiyo and I can fire off a Bowmaster and then kind of take the game from there. But of course, the deck has the ability to be very, very explosive. The Sage as a mana source. Here's a Badger Mole. And yeah, the opponent's trying to flood the board a little bit. That's cool. Oh, no play. So I guess that's Bowmaster. That's pretty cool. You can curve Bowmaster this turn. So let's attack. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast Bowmasters on the opponent's upkeep. In a perfect world, they instep the Bowmasters. Sorry about that. Pretty cool scenario here where the deck that is somewhat weak to Bowmasters is running Bowmasters itself, and then it can come over the top of mine. Let's see what goes down here. I'm trying to target the Findhorn, which is currently a 2-mana creature. That worked. Ponder looks very suspicious in my hand. Also, clue tokens aren't that great. But one of my best ways to win the game is to flip a Tamiyo. So lots of conflict here just based on the threat of Orcs Bowmasters. Really, really cool to see. Okay. Here's Shepherd. So Shield's down now. Here's Quarian Ranger. Dryad Arbor. So maybe the opponent's trying to do some shenanigans here. If I play this Triome, catch Leyline Binding is then a 1-mana removal, which is pretty cool. The opponent has a bunch of mana next turn, so I probably have to kill something. All right, let's try and attack with the Tameo. I actually should have played the land first. Yeah, sometimes you should play the land first for good reasons, sometimes you shouldn't. Playing the land first here would guard against some combat step endurance. So basically, I want to cast Ponder to try and lure out Bowmasters. And then kind of kill it with Binding and move on. Very, very cool game. The opponent did a good job here. I mean, they tried their hardest to, what do you call that word? Mask it. So my Bowmaster's dead. Your Bowmaster's dead. And you have a lot of good stuff in play, so we'll play it by the opponent. I am digging for Wrath of the Skies. That is for sure. These cards are bad, which is sad. Shepherd, make king. Force will a bad card. So the opponent played to perfection here if they set up a turn now where they cast it on, you know, a game-ending spell. Unfortunately, my hands were tied this time around, even though, you know, sometimes in Magic, your opponent's plan is, you know, apparent, but you can't always do something about it. Yes, Cradle. So maybe that card is insane. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So the only, well, it's not bad, right? So the only thing the opponent could do here was that play. Should I chum block here or should I eat an army? I don't think the army is going to be that exciting. So maybe saving some life here is going to be good for me. The cool thing is now I can get rid of the Shepherd. And if I want to, I can also slam a Murktide. Is that a good turn? I think it's a pretty good turn. Bowmaster, that clown. I mean, the opponent's last turn was Once Upon a Time into Cradle into Activate, so I just don't assume that my opponent is cooking me. But I also realize I don't have infinite time. What does the game look like if I ponder first? Would I play Wrath of the Skies for 1 right now? I don't think I would. That's the thing. All right. So with that said, let's cast Murktide. I need a white source here. White. I have 2 white in case of Wrath of the Skies showing up. Murktide Regent. Orcish Bowmasters. And now attacking seems not smart. I'm actually going to, I don't know, Murktide double blocks here. Maybe it's fine to attack. All right. It's getting to crunch time. Can the opponent come over the top, or will I stabilize like game 1? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. They have so many potent draws here, from Zeniths to Order to Hardcast, Fatties. That card is not dangerous. Let's see if they have a dangerous card. Abrupt Decay on the Tameo. Totally fine with that, because I'm stable here. I have 3 clues in the bank even. I think I should cast Ponder to see if there's a Wrath of the Skies. And then I try and send my opponent packing with that. There's no Wrath of the Skies, but there's Up the Beanstalk into Swords to Plowshares. Up the Beanstalk into Swords to Plowshares. Seems like a good turn. Okay. I will accept. Green, white, up the Beanstalk. We already Bowmaster checked our opponent, so... And now we mill over the land. And now it's counting time. The Cub makes it so that my opponent has 2, 4, 9 infinite mana. So if I kill the Cub, how much mana are they then working with? 1, 2, 3, 7. Return a forest, untap. So it's like 8 or 9. So I don't think the Cub makes a ton of difference here, so I'm actually just going to pass. Yeah, once again, it's like a time bomb here. I'm working against the clock, and I need to finish things off. Here's the Thoughtseize. So now I wonder what I should kill in response. I'm just going to assume it's the Cub. So now if the opponent has the action card in hand, I'm just very impressed with. I don't think they do. Yeah, they just have a land. All right. So it's pretty optimal for me that my opponent is drawing like Decay and Thoughtseizes while I'm in this situation. So let's start cracking a clue. Butcher Plowshare is a very good draw. I feel like I should just have another chill turn. But maybe it's time to attack with Marktide. Is it big boy time? Let's see. I can do this. Crack. Like this probably. Crack another clue. I draw another plow. Cannot cast them because they tap like this. But isn't that the 4th plow? This 3rd plow. Okay. I feel like it's time to attack with the Murktide. If the opponent has... No, they don't have End-Step Endurance because they're out of juice. All right, pass. So if they draw Shepherd, that is mildly annoying. But I can deal with that. It's the Zeniths of the world, the Orders of the world. I just really don't want to start casting plows onto these creatures unless I'm getting dangerously close to the finish line. I don't like this. Let's see what this is. This is the opponent doing Korean Ranger stuff to get to a lot of mana. Yeah, I think I'm dead here. Natural Odor. And I only have 1 plow up, which I think is the right move. It's just unfortunate. Oh, crap. I could have brainstormed a response here. Oh, sheesh. Yeah, that was terrible. So now if I plow the hoof, my opponent still has 12 minus 2. That's 11 damage. Yeah, I lost this one. So if I hold up the possibility of double plow. Ooh, yeah, I botched it. I should have had Tundra instead of Ketria Triumph because I was not going to cast any red or green spells, right? And this is also a blue land. Okay, so if I have double plow here, I plow that guy, I plow that one, and then these 2 will become 6-powered creature. Yeah. Okay, so I can even beat Natural Order if I play well here. Dang, that's brutal. And I should have given myself the chance to brainstorm into Force Blue card here. So yeah, dang, sleeping at the wheel. That's not smart. Okay. So we got to game 3. I guess that's good. It's always important when you play Magic that first and foremost, you know, when you evaluate the deck, like this is not the deck's fault that I couldn't play, right? And first of all, you need to be nice to yourself. So everybody's going to make these oversights. That's high level Magic, right? That's why we play. We play to get to a point where we don't miss, you know, things like that. Oof, Natural Order. Yeah, I mean, I knew that was a possibility. I just, for some reason, the thing is, if I hold up Ketria Triumph there, it should only be because if I draw Beanstalk, I want to cast it. Otherwise, it serves no other purpose than an island. And if in that case, I should hold up Tundra because Tundra is also an island. So just lots of small things there that made it into a bad play. All right, this is super clunky, and I will need to fire off a lot of cantrips before Bowmaster arrives. The opponent's on the mull to 5. The opponent keeps clicking the mulligan button. So the funny thing is, I could lose to some explosive hand. So let's see how I do. Do I have a way to make turn 2 Leyline Binding into a 2-drop? Let's see. Tundra plus Bayou? Yeah, that works. Okay. Archive into Tamiyo, so I can flip Tamiyo turn 2. I do like that quite a bit. So basically, I'm hunting for natural order, answer to natural order. Yeah, mulligan to 4 and cast Thoughtseize is not how you win the game. That is almost unthinkable that is going to be my opponent's best move here. Usually, the more you mulligan, the more 1-for-1 interaction cards are bad for you, right? So now it's like we both mulliganed once more. So I should flip my Tamiyo here. And I should do it with Underground Sea. I think it's more clutch that I draw Bowmasters than I draw up the Beanstalk if I'm stalling on lands. All right. Those cards, I'm going to put back Land and Binding, I believe. Could also just be Riddler and Binding. Let's put back Riddler and Binding. I think that's okay. There's a chance if my opponent thinks it's a good idea to keep Thoughtseize, they also think it's a good idea to keep Wasteland. Yes. Land or Elves pass. So I think with the way this is going, I wouldn't mind killing that card with Leyline Binding. So let's see here. Maybe I should cast Ponder here. That's fine. Oh. I draw Orcish Bowmasters like an absolute champ. So let's see. Fetch Scrubland. Bowmaster. Tick up Tamiyo. Pass. The plan is pretty simple from here. Korean Ranger, the opponent can return that and play another 1-drop potentially. And then I have to think about like Cradle, Natural Order being the last 2 cards in my opponent's hand. So that's why I need to kill one of those creatures. And that creature is going to be the Mystic. Up the Beanstalk. Pretty good draw for the situation, I must say. Prop. Let's see if we can tap right this time. I guess it doesn't matter because I'm tapping out. It's a 2-drop. Okay. Sure. Up the Beans. Into another Binding. Draw. Kill the Mystic that potentially enables something. Plus, I guess the making a double attack here is good. The opponent can block. Well, like they can, but you know, then they're at 0 permanence. So now they need some, you know, threatened Bowmaster situation for the game to not be over. Blow black, play land. I guess Abrupt Decay the Tamiyo will, in theory, prolong the game. Yes. Misty Rainforest. Let us fetch. Maybe we brainstorm fetch the Triland. That's probably fine. So put that card away. Okay, so how do I play optimally here? I think if I put a land away and a Riddler away, Then if I Murktide into the Riddler, yeah, I think I nailed it here. So now Murktide region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I draw the Riddler, which is now my blue card for Force of Will. And then I fetch away my top card to go for the Triome and binding the creature on the other side of the table. Put a lot of finishing power here. Again, I could lose to like random mana burst and natural order, but if I kill my opponent's stuff, I take Cradle out of the equation. Yeah, mulligan and keeping interaction is just not a winning strategy, unfortunately. Thoughtseize and Abrupt Decay is like the opponent mulligan to 2, right? And I mulligan to 5, and they don't want that. All right. Here's Force of Vigor. Okay. So we, you know, in theory, we keep playing the game here. Let us Force of Will. So now Veil of Summer. Like, I want to see Veil of Summer. Please, opponent, have Veil of Summer here. Show me that interaction is good. Okay. Well, that was a cool one. We got to stave off barely in game 1. And then the opponent got there game 2 with the clutch order before I turned the corner. And then this one was just a, you know, I guess a study in how to play against the mulligan. You know, trade 1 for 1 and then when the dust settles, I have cards and the opponent doesn't. All right, great match. Let's play one more. All right, one more match before we wrap up the video. And I'm playing against a player who has loved to play Painter historically, but I guess is off of that deck now. Let's see what we can do here. Meticulous Archive just might be my play for turn 1, which is pretty unexciting. Yeah, let's do that. So I don't know much about what's going on, but I do see a Polluted Delta, so I think this Bowmaster is a playable card. So basically, playing out pro, sorcerer speed Surveil Land is not the most impressive because, first of all, I expose my mana base, right, to Wasteland. Second of all, I have to make a choice ahead of time before knowing what's going to happen on this turn, right? So, yeah, not perfect. So let's see if we're playing against Flip Tameo. We're not playing against Flip Tameo. I'm gonna slam my Up the Beanstalk off of a Bayou, just like we drew it up. The opponent has a Daze, so be it. If the opponent has a Force, so be it. But if they don't, they're in trouble. Because Up the Beanstalk is a bit better than Tameo Clues, let me put it that way. Also, I mean, the opponent could be a show and tell deck, so I shouldn't really be talking so much crap. I'm just assuming I'm playing against blue-black tempo. Also, I could have gotten Kaito'd here, so, lots of stuff. The opponent flips to Tameo. It's pretty cool I have, built-in answers for that in my Leyline bindings. But let's see. I have a lot of resources, but I need to have, clutch stuff like 1 mana spells, 0 mana spells, etc. to take advantage. Let's see. What do you got here, opponent? You have a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is a good magic card. I have some solid ones over here, so it's all about unloading my stuff. I think I'll be ahead on resources this game, so it's all about unloading my stuff. Binding takes care of Tameo, which is now the opponent's avenue to victory. Let's see what this is. Another Thoughtseize? Okay. So realistically, the opponent has something like a Force right now, so I have to power through some stuff. Okay, I can flip my own Tameo here. That's not bad. Let's try that. Play Tameo. Fetch. I guess Tundra? Oh. Maybe Underground Sea, actually. Yeah, let's fetch Underground Sea. Cast Brainstorm. Okay. Let's play around Thoughtseize the best we can. So that's probably something like put back Bowmasters. Merc, maybe? Maybe like this is fine. Pass the turn. So I am behind in the Tameo race here. So I need to find a spot to, you know, use Orcish Bowmasters to pressure my opponent's Tameo. The thing is, they're probably going to do the same. Yeah, I could be losing here to just a simple like Force Will plus Bowmaster. Maybe taking the turn off here, or maybe getting my own Tameo here was not smart. I think my next turn should be about deploying Murktide Regent. Unclear if I should fight over that. Ooh, opponent, you dirty boy. You absolute dirty boy. You are playing a deck like that. Okay. Well, let us Force a Will. Pitch Ponder. Draw the Bowmaster. Okay, opponent. So Leyline Binding is very good against you. I got it. And you don't play main deck Bowmasters. I also got that. Let's play. Let's fetch here. 6 cards in the yard. Very important. Let's then play Orcish Bowmasters. Ping the Tameo. Now, let's play Murktide Regent. Pitch everything but the Force. Draw a magic card. Now, let's return the Force of Will. So, now last time I checked, this is unfortunately a Daze deck, but I think I have to make plays like this. Like, this is a pretty powerful turn 4. And if my opponent stumbles the tiniest bit here, I like my spot. If they have Show and Tell Fatty, I lose to Tameo minus onto the Thoughtseize. But it looks like there are more pieces off, which is pretty good for me, I guess. I should Force a Will pitch Quantum Riddler. Yeah. Force a Will pitch Riddler. Daze me, buddy. Okay, I get forced, so that's fine. You want to cast Stock Up? I can't trip. So at least it's good for me that I am still alive. My opponent didn't just, you know, get back Thoughtseize and won the game. Can I do anything cool on my turn that gives me a chance to finish? If I can grow the Murktide with 2, I take Ancient Tomb out of the equation. That's, you know, that's not nothing. I have a feeling I'm digging hard for Force Blue card or Binding. Can a second Bowmaster do anything? Ping to 10, attack for 3, put the opponent to 2. Yeah, second Bowmaster could be annoying for the opponent, but let's see. Land, Show and Tell, and I'm dead. Ooh, the opponent is desperate here. Now it looks like I'm getting dangerously close to having lethal with another Bowmaster. That would be... Yeah, so Bowmaster's lethal. Murktide Regent is lethal. So let's see if that's actually true. I might need a fetch to make it happen, actually. Yeah, I need a fetch to make this happen. So cast Brainstorm. Fetch land is GG's. This is not a fetch land. That is a Force of Will blue card, though. The beans. So I guess put back Plow and what? Riddler? No. Murktide, yes. Cast up the Beanstalk. Play tap land. And I think I should attack my opponent to 2 here. Take the Ancient Tomb out of the equation. Alright, I couldn't get to the Murktide replay. I needed a fetch lane to make it happen. The opponent's at 2, and they can beat me here. I have a draw 2 in the bank, but unfortunately, I know one of them. So that works. So now this, if the opponent deals with the Murktide, the Orc army is not lethal on its own, but I think that's pretty minor. I think it's time. It's go time for the opponent. Let's Force a Will, pitch Quantum Riddler. The opponent has the nuts to beat me here. That's okay. The opponent did not have the nuts. All right. Show and Tell. Yeah, I mean, if Show and Tell is such a big deck, I probably have to reconfigure my sideboard over here. Love the negations. The plows. Oh, they are a Tameo deck. Okay, so more interesting stuff. I guess the basic planes is good to cut against a deck like that. Funnily enough, I think all of my magic cards are fine. I can probably cut another land, but I don't think it should be the blue source. Can easily cut a plow. Turn 1 Tameo would be annoying, though. Then I need to cut one more card. Could be a mana source. So Leyline Binding is very good against Show and Tell Omniscience, but less good against Show and Tell Atraxa. Is that something I should worry about? What about Bowmasters? Bowmasters just great clock. Feels a little bit inefficient to start trimming a Riddler. I think that's okay. Maybe this is the move. I feel like I have a bit too many white cards. Maybe I can get rid of like 1 binding and keep the blue card, but maybe that blue card is better off as a consign. Maybe if I do like this, I actually have more counterplay against my opponent just going Show and Tell Atraxa, then this one actually works, and then I can plow the Atraxa. And since I have plows in my deck anyway. Okay, I'm going to try this. The turn 1 Tameo is my biggest fear, I must say. Okay, this looks to be fine. This is a blue card away from being awesome. I'm also Thoughtseize proof here, which is kind of cool. There's the blue card. Very cool. So play fetch land, get ready to fetch Meticulous Archive, and then start jamming Beanstalks. They keep the card on top. They like what's going on. Ooh. This is annoying. I don't want him to start casting powerful stuff now. But that card is not a card we can let resolve, unfortunately. This opening is just very good against my deck because my deck does a pretty poor job of punishing tapping Ancient Tomb. Yeah, let's take this card. Because if I'm a pro, I Beanstalk into the blue card. Alright, you're up, opponent. Can we do it? We're getting interesting. We're getting forced on the Beanstalk, but stock up, my opponent did not want to, you know, power through. Interesting. I would say that fighting over the stock up is well worth it. That's like my opponent's Beanstalk, if that makes sense. Let's see if I'm dead here. The opponent could potentially just have the nuts and say, hey, you're dead, buddy. But that's not the case. They play around Bowmasters with a Brainstorm here on their own turn. Then my turn is about seeing if I can find blue card on draw step or the Beanstalk cantrip. Both would be Chef's Kiss. Very nice. So play land. Maybe I shouldn't have. Yeah, I think I should because of days. Yeah, that was a good land drop. Draw Bowmasters. Leyline Binding is currently a 2-drop and a Desperado playing against the card Show and Tell. Here comes Lauren Revealed. I mean, I'm going to Force Will that card. Oh, not Lauren Revealed. Same point. Can't let that happen. Force. Cantrip off the Beanstalk. So now, Leyline Binding. Interesting. What's the most important card to resolve here? I would think that's Tamiyo. How do I feel about my opponent tapping out to Force a Will my Bowmaster? I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to jam the Bowmaster now. All right, opponent. We're down to low resources. Show and Tell Atraxa would probably crush me. Probably. I hope they just drew Ponder, and they're having a real long think about it. Okay, they have their own Bowmasters. That's annoying. So now I have to use a Leyline Binding on that card. Oh, never mind. Let's see. Baragoyf, that's cool. All right. Baragoyf is fine. Let's, unfortunately, have them kill my my army. Then get rid of the Bowmasters. And now the Baragoyf, unfortunately, is a card I need to chum block. Is that right? Yeah. I'll chum block the Baragoyf, then kill it. Yeah, this Cyber plan is nothing to sneeze at. Really, really cool. So does that mean this Show and Tell is completely out of the deck? Great question. Another stock up. Well, I can't let that happen, buddy. And then this Leyline Binding takes care of the Baragoyf, and hopefully I can kind of stabilize. Another Beans. I don't think I'm allowed to do that now. Let's see if I can draw land. Sure. So now I can jam the Bean. Get rid of that card. I'm at 15. Pretty healthy life total. I have very many good draws here. Like Murktide Regent, Riddler. Yes, exactly. So let's see if the opponent can keep up the gas here. They've done a pretty good job with triple stock up and Baragoyf. And of course, you know, I've been a champ. Been pretty lucky here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's Murktide Regent. Draw 2. You have a Bowmaster. I don't think you do, because then you would have jammed. Pass. Now the opponent is dead in 2 swings, so they really have to draw something here. No attack. I will fetch my Ketria Triumph end of turn here. Can we draw something to ice the game? Nope, not this time. I'll take attacking for half of my opponent's life total, holding up Force of Will. The opponent could have Force Blue card in hand. Like, that is possible that the opponent assembled that, you know, after the Murktide. Yeah, the opponent couldn't get there. This was pretty sweet games, I must say. Played against some show and tell decks. Played against the Elves Cradle Control type of deck, and yeah, lots of wins for the home squad here. I love this deck. I kept working on the deck even after Claudio did well in the mocks. I figured Orcish Bowmasters was the way to go. This deck is near and dear to my heart. I played it a year and a half ago. Sheesh, is almost 2 years ago. When I qualified for the mocks, took it down with Beans. It was glorious. So it has a special place in my heart, and I think it's very, very strong if you know how to play, you know, fundamental Magic, manage your mana, manage your life total, turn the corner, unload your stuff, and yeah, find the thread the needle against a dangerous metagame. But yeah, I really enjoy you guys hanging out. If you like what you're seeing over here, consider becoming a YouTube Baron. YouTube Barons will have access to videos ahead of time. They will have access to exclusive videos, including Metagame Monday After Dark. That is basically where I create these decks. I take all the numbers from the past week and I turn them into actual solutions. So this is exactly where I was talking about Beanstalk this previous Monday, and the previous Mondays before that, I talked about how to build Dimir tempo. I was able to convert that into a top final split in a challenge and a top 4. So be part of the movement if you want to, and if not, totally fair. You know, I have my guides over at Metafy as well. Best community in the world, free tournaments. It's definitely the place to be if you love Legacy. Lastly, I want to thank Four Seasons for powering my adventures here, and I can't wait to see you guys in Italy in a little over a month from now. I'll be traveling to Bologna. So yeah, I say all of that to say this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you back soon for some more sweet, sweet Legacy action.